This is week 3 of this 5-part message series. It's based on the work of Craig Groeschel, where we're thinking through some of the challenges of social media. Now, last week, if you were here, you know we took a break from the series. Jen and I were away at a conference for a good chunk of that week, and so Casey filled in last Sunday. And I just want to say, did Casey do an awesome job last week, for those of you that are here, or what? I'm so thankful for you. And the reality is that dude is gifted. There's not a lot of people that even at this phase in his preaching career could do what he can do. And it's awesome to see you developing that and using it. So thank you. Today we're picking up where we left off in this series. And today I want us to think about the issue of authenticity. Okay, our ability to be real with each other. And the question for today is, how do we be authentic in a selfie-centered world? And let me, just real quick, I need to take a selfie, actually. I did this couple, like last time, and I realized it was just me. I didn't get all of you in it. And so today, we're going to get you guys in there. Oh. I'm getting lights shining. That's not good. I got to get the right angle. All right. Somebody do something cool. It's kind of boring. There we go. Nice job, everybody. Okay, if you're here and you're one of the few people that doesn't know a lot about social media, like if you go, I don't use it, I just want to assure you today's message will still apply to you because this issue of authenticity, it applies to everybody, okay? It just gets magnified because of what's happening in our world with social media. And so for those of you that don't use social media, in case you didn't know, a selfie is taking a picture of yourself. And then it's used most of the time when it's posted online. And there's usually a cool little caption that goes with it. So like if I posted the selfie that I just took, I might make the caption, okay, from the pulpit with my closest parishioners. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't do that. I would never do that because that would be horrible. That would be so dang uncool. I would have a much cooler caption like hashtag killing it at Brookview. Which brings me to the whole hashtag thing. Okay, if you're somebody who doesn't know what a selfie is, you sure as heck don't know what a hashtag is. What is a hashtag? What is the point of a hashtag? Okay, a hashtag is a symbol that looks like the pound sign. Okay, and it's a tool for social media, like places like Twitter, where you type your thoughts to the world in 140 characters or less. A hashtag is simply a tool to connect people together who are talking about similar things in social media. So, okay, on Twitter, if you were to click on hashtag GoHawks, okay, click on hashtag GoHawks, what you see is what tons of different Seahawks fans are all posting about the Seahawks, like from all over the world. It's all gathered right there because of the hashtag. If you go to Instagram, where people upload pictures, okay, and you click on hashtag cool shoes, it will take you to a page filled with everybody's awesome shoes. How exciting is that? Everyone posting, look at how cool my shoes are. So, okay, a hashtag is simply a tool to connect people together who are talking about similar things on social media, which brings me to the title of this series, hashtag selfie. The truth is, the phenomenon of selfies it's like exploding. I mean, it's been around for a while, but it is exploding. Let me give you just some absolutely absurdly ridiculous selfie stats. Check this out, okay? About a year ago, over a 1-month period, there were 35 million hashtags, okay, online somewhere, hashtags with the word selfie in them, 35 million. Okay, about a year later, just a couple of months ago, in a 1-month period, there were 170 million. Okay, so in 1 year, it jumped from 35 million to 170 million. So this obsession with selfies it's raging, and it's kind of a newer thing in our culture. If you're younger, and I know that this will be hard for you to imagine, but if you're younger, you have to realize in my generation, like when we were your age, we would have never turned a camera on ourselves. Like for most of us, okay, in that day and age, like we actually hated getting our picture taken. For many of you, and I know this is going to bring back some angst and dig up some stuff, but the worst day of school every year for you was picture day. I mean, the anxiety that went into that, it was horrible. There was so much stress associated with it because you'd walk in and they'd take your picture, but you only had one shot. Okay, you had one take and only one take. And so when they said like 1, 2, 3, click, it didn't matter if you were all like goofy. If you're like, that was it. That was going to be the picture, okay? And it would define like your entire 6th grade year. And here's the really difficult thing about this. And again, for younger people that have a hard time imagining this, they would take the picture and then they'd say, nice job. And you'd move out of line, and you wouldn't even know what the picture looked like for months. Okay? Like, if you didn't have the money to buy the little picture packet, you wouldn't know what it looked like until it came out in the yearbook. And the stress of picture day was almost unbearable. So I thought I would share with you, and you can tell in this picture, I thought I would share with you my school picture from 1982. Now, what happened there is some picture lady came over with a comb and just like combed the hair straight down. And I was like, what are you doing? Because, oh man. What? You want to see Jen? I don't have pictures of Jen. I hated getting my picture taken. Like many of you, hated it. Picture day was the worst. And so, okay, when you think about this, our culture has really shifted. Okay, because now we're like this selfie-obsessed culture. We can't take enough selfies. And we'll take a picture of ourselves, and then here's what's cool, we can put a filter on it. And if you don't know what a filter is, it's technology that enables us to alter the picture. Like with a filter, you can soften the light, or you can brighten it. You can take away red eye. You can edit out and remove a double chin. Okay, if you've got a zit, man, back when we were kids, you just had to like pop it and hope for the best. In fact, on picture day, it was a major dilemma because it was like, should I pop it or is that going to like make it worse? Will it make it all red and everything? Or, is it going to be like bleeding? And now, see, you can just edit that thing right out. See, we can filter the image and show people our filtered selves, and we just go, okay, this is the me that I want you to see. And you'd be shocked, actually, some of you, I think, by how much you can actually change. I mean, what the extent to which you can alter your face. Jen forwarded me this website that's designed for this. It's called Facetune.com, and we pulled down the little promo video for what it is and what you can do and how it works. This is filthy. Check this out.
Welcome to the world of Facetune for iPad. Today, we'll go over some of the amazing things you can do with Facetune to create magazine-level portraits. If this is your first time to use Facetune, you can use our demo photos to practice your skills. When you're ready, you can import any photo shot with your phone, professional camera, or right here on your iPad. You can whiten your teeth for the perfect smile. Rejuvenate your skin by smoothing wrinkles and expression lines. You can control the strength and size of every brush stroke. Intensify your gaze by adding details to your eyes. Play with your facial structure, or refine noses and smiles. With the patch tool, you can make unwanted details disappear. Using tones, you can apply makeup or change the color of your eyes. The red and white eye tool can deal with flash effects. If you want to pop out of the picture, defocus the background. Using filters can turn your photo into something unique. Choose paper, improve the lighting, and apply one of our special textures to all or just a part of your photo. Choose from a variety of fun frames, or compare it before and after. Every feature has 3 beautiful help screens, including short videos demonstrating how the tool works. Save your creation and share with your friends. For more tutorials, photo contests, and even more, please visit our YouTube channel and like us on Facebook.
Okay, now that is some sweet technology. And I love the whole nose thing. Is that just like in the shape of the face? I mean, you can alter pretty much anything. And what's kind of sad to me is that some of you will take away absolutely nothing from today's message, but you will remember and use that. And I'll tell you what, it's pretty sweet. And so I saw that and I got curious, and I decided to see what might be done with my face. And so I spent 5 minutes on Facetune tuning up my face, and I will tell you it's truly amazing what you can do. Here's the before picture that I was working with, just so you can all get a baseline. Okay. Now, with only 5 minutes of very simple modifications, here's how good I can look. What? Okay, so the heart behind today's message is this, okay? In all seriousness, the more filtered our lives become, the more we just show other people the me I want them to see, the more difficult it is to be authentic. And now with social media, the ability to be inauthentic is at an all-time high. Like culturally, we're becoming so trained to filter the picture and then to edit perfectly the caption, because the caption matters, right? We know that. The caption really matters. You got to have the right hashtag. I mean, you got to be clever, but not too clever. You don't want to look like you're trying to be clever. Can't look like you're trying too hard. It's got to be perfect. And so we edit all that perfectly, and then we send it out to the world so that everybody out there can affirm us, and then they can like whoever it is that we're showing them we are. Now, we've been talking over the last few weeks about how social media is affecting relationships. And we have to acknowledge, and I've said this every week and I want to say it again, we have to acknowledge that there are so many positive things, so many good things that social media enables us to do. Okay, there are really good things. And yet, at the same time, there can be tons and tons of unintended negative consequences. Okay, and in dealing with the challenges of being authentic, we come across something that is emerging and getting worse in our culture. And it's taken a huge toll on relationships, and it's this. People are starting to fear and avoid unfiltered communication. Like we're becoming so used to being able to edit what we say and filter what we show that if we don't have that luxury, people are becoming less and less comfortable relating. Now, some of you are old enough to remember this, but it used to be that when the phone would ring, you actually had no way of knowing who it was. Okay, the only way you could find out was to actually do what? Answer it. Pick up the phone, right? And, oh man, because, now think about this, you didn't know who it might be. You didn't know what might be said. You didn't know what kind of question they might ask. Like, anything could happen. It was nuts. But we did this. We actually picked up the phone without knowing who it was. We just answered the phone. Now today a call comes in and we see who it is right there on the phone. And so often we don't answer it. We let them leave a voicemail. Because before we're stuck talking, we want to know what the call is about. right? And then very often we respond not by calling back, we respond with a what? A text. That way, see, we can stay in control. We don't have to talk and not know where the conversation will go. We can just use, we can avoid using unfiltered communication. Now, I know there are other reasons not to answer the phone. Okay, like if you're driving, or if you're, with your family at dinner, or you don't have time for a full conversation. Maybe you know what the call's about and you're like, I don't have time right now to do that. So, okay, I'm not saying that Jesus says, thou shalt always answer thy phone. I'm just trying to point out another instance where because of technology, we are more and more capable of filtering communication. And what's happening is that we're becoming so used to being able to be in control of most communications that to be in situations where we can't be in control is unsettling. It's like, ooh, it's unsettling. And so more and more, we're avoiding those contexts. And when you think about it, you go, that's actually not a good thing for connecting with people. Because we want to have the filter on as much as we possibly can, but the more filtered our lives are, the more difficult it is for us to be authentic. And here's why this matters so much. Connecting matters. Connecting with other people matters. Knowing and being deeply known are absolutely core to how we've been wired as human beings. As we saw a couple of weeks ago, it's possible to have 328 Facebook friends, okay, which is the average for Facebook users, and yet have hardly any close friends. Okay, people that will know and love the unfiltered you. And this filtering issue is not just a modern day problem. Okay, it's not just about technology. This has been an issue since the beginning of the human race. Every human being in every generation has wrestled with this on some level. We're told that in the beginning, the man and the woman were with God in the garden. And we're told that they were naked, okay, without shame. And the point doesn't seem to be that they worked out a lot and had a low percentage of body fat. Not walking around going, look at me, look at me. What's being described here is the deepest of human longings. Okay, the yearning to know and be known. And it was being fully met. In the beginning, the idea is there were no filters. But then the fall happens. The fall happens and everything changes. And Adam hears the footsteps of God in the garden, like usual, like he had thousands of times. And always before, when he heard those footsteps, he was filled with joy and anticipation. Always before, when he heard those footsteps, he ran toward them like a child hears the front door open at 5 o'clock and realizes, hey, Dad's home, and just comes running. But this time, he hears the footsteps. And he's filled with feelings that he's never known before. This time, the sound that always brought joy and excitement brings on a wave of shame and fear and panic. And so this time he runs, not toward the footsteps, but away from them. And he hides. And it's amazing, really, when you think about it, what fear and shame and inadequacy will do. And yet God comes and gently calls them out of hiding. And he basically says, hey, what happened here? Why are you hiding? And Eve says, it was the serpent. And Adam says, it was the woman. And then he tacks on, and I love this, the woman that you put here with me. In other words, okay, it was the woman, but God, let's think for a second about whose idea it was to create that woman in the first place. I'm just saying. And of course, there it is. Blame enters the human race. And it's interesting because they would not be the last married couple to blame each other. And blame and denial and evasion, like all forms of hiding, they have marked the human race ever since. Suddenly, to know and to be known, which was intended to be the greatest joy of the human race, now becomes the greatest fear of the human race. Suddenly, hiding, filtering, being inauthentic become a normal part of the human experience. Now, there's another great picture of using a filter in the Old Testament. And it's in the Old Testament, but our attention isn't drawn to it until the New Testament. Paul is writing to the church in Corinth about how it's now possible to live in community with God and with each other. And he describes this or uses a metaphor of living with unveiled faces. Paul uses this image as he retells the story of Moses with God on Mount Sinai. So Moses is like getting the 10 Commandments, and he's with God. And it's when Moses came down the mountain, his face glowed. Like his face it was like the presence of God had just completely lit up his face. It was just a glow, the glory of God. Okay, now, this was very impressive to the Israelites when they saw Moses. They're like, whoa, look at his face. And it was confirmation that Moses had actually encountered God and that he was uniquely qualified to lead them. Okay, but after time, not in the direct presence of God, okay, the radiance, the glow for Moses would fade. You know, it's like a couple that gets back from Hawaii and they're tan, in January, and they just lose the tan. The glow of Moses' face would fade back to normal. So Paul says something interesting in Corinthians. He writes, "We are not like Moses, who would put a veil over his face to prevent the Israelites from seeing the end of what was passing away." Apparently, Moses didn't like that his glow was fading. He didn't like people seeing him and starting to think of him again as just plain old Moses. So he put a veil over his face. He let everybody see it all aglow, and then he put a veil over his face to hide that it was fading. And apparently, and now imagine feeling this way, apparently he wanted to look more spiritual than he actually was. Now, we don't know how long he wore the veil or when he decided to take it off. And it may be that his wife one day just said, "I have had enough. Moses, take off the stupid veil. You're not fooling anybody." She's like, "You know what? I'm actually relieved that your face isn't all aglow anymore because I couldn't sleep at night anyway." It's like trying to sleep with a giant firefly. Since the fall, here's our problem. To some degree, okay, we're all wearing a veil. And we've learned to be very skilled at how to filter our lives, to show other people the me that we want them to see. So I just want to pause here and ask you to think, what veil are you wearing? What image are you trying to portray in your life that you're not really? Or at least not as completely as you would like other people to think you are? And when you think about social media, it almost trains people to do this, right? To create this like online persona. Think about yourself and your online persona. It might not be very, very authentic. I mean, when you're using social media, what's your online persona? Maybe you're like, "With it, Mom." You're just like, "Look, here's a picture of baked goods for my kids. And here's me at soccer with the kids." And you're like, "Here's my kids with matching lunchboxes. And here we are at the Pacific Science Center, getting smarter." And maybe that's not necessarily a very authentic picture of you a lot of the time. Because actually, deep down, you feel overwhelmed or overworked. You feel like you're just scrambling to keep up day to day. You feel like the kids and your life are kind of like out of control. And so maybe, to be honest, deep down, you feel a lot of the time like a failure as a mom. But on social media, there you are, "With it, Mom." Woo. Or maybe you're like, "Protein shake guy. Check out my protein shake. I'm getting in shape. Check out my protein shake." The truth is, just 10 minutes before the picture, you ate a whole bag of Doritos. And you worship regularly at the altar of Ben & Jerry's. But there you are, projecting the image. "Check me out, I'm protein shake guy." You know, it goes best with wheatgrass shots and some carob bars. Check me out, everybody. I'm getting in shape. I'm a protein shake guy. Or maybe you're like, super awesome, Dad. Here's me with my kid. Click, click, click. I'm with my kid. Look, everybody. You know, look, hey, look, everybody. Click, click, click. We're at the park. See the park? Look, guys, I'm pushing my kid on the swing. You know, I'm super awesome, Dad. I'm super awesome, Dad. I'm super dad. When in reality, okay, maybe a lot of the time you feel like a failure as a dad because you know that a lot of the times when you're with them, you're really short with them. And you know you're not really very engaged with them. When you're with them, you're not really with them because your mind is somewhere else. But they, you know, you're just like, hey, okay, to the world, here's the dad I want you to see. Or maybe you're like, spiritual guy, here's the verse, here's another verse, here's another deep thought I have. You wouldn't believe the 4-hour quiet time that I had with Jesus. Or maybe you're like, spiritual girl. Okay, and it's just pictures of, here's me having a devotion in the garden. But you know, butterflies always remind me of the goodness of God. Okay, here's my coffee, and here's my Bible, and here's my journal, and I'm spiritual girl. Okay, when in reality, you're like, you have doubts, and you have guilt, and you have anger, and you have insecurity, but here you are for the world to see, spiritual girl. A couple of weeks ago, Matt McDonald sent me a YouTube video, and this is a mockery of people trying to look more spiritual than they are, and I think it is hilariously sad.
Are you a Christian girl that loves taking photos of her devotions? Do you spend hours framing the perfect picture without the payoff of people noticing how spiritual you are on the internet? Introducing Christian Girl Instagram, 101 tips and tricks to get more likes on your devotional photos.
Hi, I'm John Christ with Christian Girl Instagram. Do you struggle to get likes on those devotional Instagram photos? Hashtag the struggle is real.
From the best-selling author of Shameless Workout Selfies comes Christian Girl Instagram.
I would always get totes stressed out trying to decide which Bible verse to show. Not anymore.
Okay, you're always going to want to stay away from common verses like Jeremiah 29:11 or John 3:16.
No matter what verse you choose, you always want to make sure you highlight multiple verses with multiple colors.
Because after all, what's the point of having devotions if no one knows about it?
I used to spend 5 minutes reading the Bible, then like 30 minutes trying to figure out a hashtag. Then I found Christian Girl Instagram.
My book includes over 1,000 hashtag suggestions like Coffee with Colossians, Bliss, Serenity, Much Needed, and of course, hashtag Blessed.
Buy Christian Girl Instagram today and we'll include our 31-piece package of options to put in the background of your photo. Things like a candle, a Precious Moments doll, a subscription to Relevant Magazine, kale chips, and of course, a coffee cup with a Bible verse on it.
Thanks to inspiration from Christian Girl Instagram, I took down my Marilyn Monroe poster and replaced it with footprints in the sand.
So clear off what's really on your desk and replace it with new products from Christian Girl Instagram.
Christian Girl Instagram now includes bonus tips like if you're going to include your hand in the photo, always wear a purity ring. And if you're going to include additional reading material in the background of your photo, always avoid extremes. We don't want people to think you're too prosperity driven by maybe having some Joel Osteen, yet we don't want people to worry about your theology by having some Rob Bell or Mark Driscoll, okay? You want to stay right in the middle, maybe some Joyce Meyer, some Beth Moore would be perfect. And remember, anything leather-bound is really going to pop with that Valencia Instagram filter.
Christian Girl Instagram is great. My devotions are now constantly being interrupted by people liking my post.
Buy now and I'll also include my additional book, Announcing Your Social Media Fast. Tips and tricks for effectively telling people you're fasting while ignoring all of Jesus' teachings about telling people you're fasting.
Christian Girl Instagram can be yours today. This book and so much more available to you all for the cost of less than a pair of yoga pants.
I don't always do devotions, but when I do, I Instagram it.
We're so confident in our product that if you're not totally satisfied with Christian Girl Instagram, we'll send you this free autographed Tim Tebow poster.
We're living in a day and age where we can filter like never before, and we can be so calculating in the image we project. And sometimes, this is interesting, sometimes people don't know what to post. You know, they just don't know what to post. And it's like, you know, what about my life? It might be cool enough to post. And so they just make something up, like, to go do, just to post about it. Like, they're sitting around there thinking, okay, you know, I have to post something. And it's not like hashtag TBT, you know, Throwback Thursday. So, like, shoot, I got to come up with something current. You know, I got to come up with something new. So, you know, what could I do that would make a good picture? I know, maybe we could do this. Like, we could go out and we could do this, and then we could take a picture of it, and then I could post that. Okay, hashtag, how sick is that? Living just to create a social media moment, all because we feel compelled to show this life that we think people want to see. And in social media land, there's so much pressure to build some sort of persona, to put out there this image of you that you want the world to see, this image that really isn't very authentic. And so maybe at this point you're like, are you saying we should always be 100% honest? And we should show everything on social media? Let me say, yes. And no. Okay. Yes, you should always be honest. Like, as much as possible, you want what goes on social media to be a reflection of the real you. Right? But I'd also say no, because of course you don't show everything on social media. Like, certain things should stay private. Certain things, they need to stay private. Some of you, and I'm not calling anybody out, and I'm not on social media that much to even know who you are, but some of you are big-time oversharers. Okay, and to you, thus saith the Lord, shut thy trap up. You say way too much. Like, everybody doesn't want to know all about your feelings about everything. You know, please pray for my kid because she's, rebelling. Oh, that's really going to help when your kid finds out that you put that out on Facebook. You guys know what I'm talking about. Like, you've seen this stuff out there. You see it. It's just like, really? How about this? Pray for my husband. He's the biggest jerk who's ever lived. I can't stand him. I don't want to be married to him another day. And so unless the Lord Jesus Christ redeems his soul, I have no place in my tender heart for him. Please pray for my husband. And you read that and you're like, darn straight I'm praying for him because he's married to you. You're stupid. He needs prayers of protection from you. You're an idiot. You're sharing that on Facebook? What is the matter with you? Okay, that's not transparent. That's not authentic. That's stupid. You got to think about what you're posting and who's going to see it. Social media, let's just face it, there are so many good things you can do, but it is not the venue to completely remove the veil. I mean, on the one hand, you want to avoid putting some image out there that isn't really you. But on the other hand, social media is not the place that you just let it all hang out. People don't need to know every single thing you're thinking every second that you're thinking it. When it comes to places like Twitter and Facebook, some of you need to shut thy trap up. So here's my advice. Just a thought. Maybe you should say less on social media, and maybe it's time to say more face-to-face with people. Maybe it's time to find the right venue where you can be real, like with good friends, or with your family, okay, or with people who love you, people who will love the unfiltered you. Maybe more and more for you, that would be your life group. That's kind of why we have those things. The truth is, we need these venues and relationships now, really, in our culture more than ever. Just 20 years ago, and we looked at this the last time I spoke, on average, people said that they had 6 close friends, 20 years ago. People said they had 6 close friends. Today the average is, does anybody remember? 2. In 20 years, it's gone from 6 close friends to 2. That's like relational epidemic. I mean, it is no wonder that so many people feel so lonely and so empty. The average Facebook user has 328 friends, but has a hard time really, in a face-to-face way, finding a real friend. And what's happening is it's becoming more and more and more and more about the online me. That's what I care about, the online me, and less about the me in real life. It's all about posting an impressive image of myself. And I gotta have it. I gotta be witty, I gotta be funny, I gotta be crazy, I gotta be interesting, I gotta be successful, I gotta have it all together, I gotta be super mom, I gotta be super dad, I gotta be super, successful career guy. I have to be impressive. And this isn't just online. This is everywhere. Okay, this is offline too. We feel this immense pressure to look and be impressive. And we're constantly wondering, what do they think of me? Like we post something and we can't check back 3 days from now, right? If we post something, we have to know right now, did they like it? Like how many people liked it? Did anybody make a comment? What did they say? Do they like me? Do they think I'm impressive? And here's the problem with living your life to impress people. And this is true both on and offline. You might be really good at it. You might be able to impress a lot of people, but you won't make any friends. Because the irony is we're drawn to people that live with unveiled faces. We may impress people with our strengths, but we connect through our weaknesses. Now you think about this. Think about it. Because we've all done this, okay? You meet somebody. We've all done this. You meet somebody and you're like, oh, they're so perfect. Yeah, that's perfect. You're so perfect. You're so perfect, I can't stand you, right? But we smile and we nod and we're polite. We're like, oh, that's really impressive and that's really interesting. And then they walk away, and when they walk away, they're so perfect. They're just so perfect, right? Okay. Then later on, what happens is you're with that person in a different context, and they open up, and they get really real with you, and they share some of their weaknesses. And then we're like, oh, they struggle with that? Oh, sometimes they feel really afraid and inadequate. Oh, they really aren't sure what to do about this or this or this. And suddenly we're like, man, you know what? I was totally wrong. I really like that person. They're so down to earth. You know what? I really like that person. Why? Why does that happen? Because we connect through our weaknesses. And so often we're trying to impress the world. We're trying to impress the world with this, here's the me I want you to see. And we're not connecting. And we're not connecting, and we're not connecting, and we're not connecting. And we can't figure out why. Why am I not connecting? Why isn't this going well? Here's why. Because we impress people with our strengths, but we connect through our weaknesses. And so here's my big question for you today. Are you living your life to be impressive or to be connected? And think about what you choose to show the world, if you're a social media user, what you choose to show the world through social media. What's your goal? Are you trying to impress people or are you trying to connect? Think about the way that you relate when you're with your closest friends, where you can really let your guard down. Are you all about impressing them, or is it really more about connecting with them? Those of you that are in a life group these days, would you rather the people in your group be impressed with you or connected to you? And it's interesting because every one of us carries scars and hurts and wounds and inadequacies and fears. And our tendency since the fall is to hide as if our life depended on it. I think we've got it exactly wrong. Our life depends on somehow getting found. And the truth is, knowing and being known, they go down to the very core of what it is to be human and to thrive as a human being. See, you cannot be fully loved unless you're fully known. You can only be loved to the extent that you're actually known. You can only be completely loved if you're completely known. And God knows this. Like, He's wired us this way on purpose. He knows the problem that we're all having, and He's provided the solution. And in a sense, when you think about it, this is what the cross is all about. I mean, listen to what Paul says. He's going back to now, this is right after the verse we looked at earlier, where he's using the image of Moses and the veil. Listen to what Paul says about how Jesus and the cross can set us free. He says, but whenever anyone turns to the Lord, whenever anyone looks to Jesus, whenever anyone looks to the cross and accepts the grace of God, whenever anyone turns to the Lord, the veil is taken away. Now, the Lord is the Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there's freedom. And we all, who with unveiled faces now, contemplate the Lord's glory, are being transformed into His image with ever-increasing glory, which comes from the Lord who is the Spirit. Paul is saying that when we turn to the Lord, when we turn to Jesus, this amazing thing that happens. When we understand the love and the patience and the grace of God, this extraordinary thing happens. We can finally feel free, at least in front of God, to be fully ourselves. No more concealing, no more masks, no more hiding. In Jesus, see, the veil is taken away. And so now we can live in this freedom. We can come out from hiding, first with God, and from there with each other. You know, we hide as if our life depended on it, and the truth is, our life really depends on getting found.